What's going on, you guys? I'm doing a Solo review today, and before I go see Han Solo, I'm getting ready to here shortly. Just kind of wanted to set some expectations. I'm actually looking forward to this movie less than any other Star Wars movie. I just don't like backstory movies, especially when you know like all the main characters are going to survive and nothing bad can happen to them. Well, nothing really bad. And so I feel very mediocre going into this movie. And you know, I actually feel kind of lousy today, which is strange because usually any Star Wars premiere day is always like a great, super exciting day. So that being said, I'm pretty much expecting it to be very cookie cutter, very stereotypical, very appeal to the larger audience, which isn't necessarily terrible. But I expect this to be kind of like, if I were to rank it like as far as like an Avengers movie or a Marvel cinematic, I'd rank it somewhere around Ant-Man. That's kind of my level of expectation. Like it'll have some jokes, and it'll have some recognizable characters, and maybe even a moment or two that were like, oh, that's cool. But you know, I don't think it's going to have any big star battles. I don't think it's going to have, you know, like that Rogue One last 20 minutes. Like, I don't think it's going to have anything amazing like that. And I don't think it's going to have anything that really surprises me. I don't think it's going to have anything that makes me want to stand up and clap. That being said, now I'm going to go see the movie, and then we'll see how it seems after that. So, I finally saw the movie. I got some posters. I went to like the early fan showing. I got some pins. If I had been to an AMC, I might have ended up with some dice. You probably want to hear what I thought of the movie. First off, I'm not going to talk about any spoilers in this movie. I'll probably do another video where I talk about spoilers. But let's talk about this movie. Are you ready? Yeah, pretty much exactly what I thought. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't. I wouldn't call it good. I'd say it was a very safe movie. That's, I guess, the thing is, I kind of had a list of expectations on things that I thought I was going to see in Solo, A Star Wars Story. And you know, you kind of always think, you know, well, you know, if they're doing this kind of movie, I think this might happen, and I think this might happen, and I think this might happen. Yeah, everything I thought was going to happen happened. And nothing that virtually nothing that I didn't expect. Like there were a few unexpected things. There were some twists and turns that I didn't see coming, but at the same time, I kind of expected some twists and turns. I mean, it's a movie about scoundrels and double crossers, and you know, and like you know, like the scum and villainy kind of criminal underworld and stuff. So you know, when there's a twist and turn, you know, it's like, oh, I'm really shocked. But overall, I mean, it was a good kind of way to just summarize everything for people who really don't know much about Han Solo, or people who maybe aren't really big Star Wars fans. I think this was a movie for everybody else who's not a big Star Wars fan. Maybe people who are just very casual Star Wars fans that just want something that reminds them of Han Solo. I mean, now, Donald Glover was great. I think he did a really good job of channeling Lando. I think especially in some of his earlier scenes, like the first time you hear his voice, I thought it was actually Billy D. Williams. Like, and you know, and then later on, once he's talking more, you hear him actually be Donald Glover. But for most of the movie, he does a good job of channeling Billy D. So, you know, great job there. You know, acting performances were great. I think I really liked L3. The droid was awesome. You know, so there's some cool stuff going on in this movie. There's a lot of entertaining things. It just, you know, for me personally, and I'm not trying to tell you you shouldn't enjoy it. I think you should definitely go see it. There's nothing, you know, there's nothing terribly wrong with it. It's just the whole movie feels really, really safe. Just super safe. Like they took no risks in this movie. It was just like, hey, you know what? We have to do Han meeting Chewbacca, so let's have them meet each other. You know, hey, we have to have Han Solo meeting Lando Calrissian, so let's have them meet each other. There's like, you know, there was just nothing like at least like Last Jedi took some risks. I was way more excited about The Last Jedi than I was about this movie. And even though things happened in The Last Jedi that didn't go the way I wanted them to go, I just really appreciated the fact that there were, you know, true surprises and true, you know, really emotional things. Like I walked out of that theater after seeing Last Jedi like almost in shock. I think I was actually in shock. If I go back and watch my video, I was like, I think it was really good, but man, I have to process all of this. Oh my God, I had so much to process. Yeah, walking out of the theater, I'm like, well, That was a movie. It was a movie on a screen that reminds me of every other movie I've ever seen. You know, like that's kind of my overall feel. Like, I didn't feel blown away. I didn't feel like super impressed. But at the same time, I wasn't underwhelmed. I wasn't like, I wouldn't say that this movie was bad. It was, you know, so it's like, it's hard for me to really rank it because I just walked out of it. I'll tell you this. The best part about this movie is that now the next movie to come out for Star Wars is going to be Episode 9. It's going to be something in the future. The next movie is going to be something I'm looking forward to. The next movie, so now I can actually look forward to new things that to me are exciting Star Wars content. This would have been better if it had like a whole lot of space battle stuff, like capital ships. Like, I really want to see, you know, rebels fighting Imperials, like a big, you know, fleet on fleet conflict, which that just wasn't, you know, the subject matter of this, you know, of this type of movie. You know, Han Solo has nothing to do with capital ships versus capital ships. It really isn't even, it's not even appropriate for a Han Solo movie. You know, unless of course you're talking about, you know, battles that he was in when he was part of the rebellion. But, you know, I want to see stuff like that. I want to see stuff that transitions more into tabletop gaming. Now, I think a lot of this, you know, can translate into tabletop gaming, but really very little of it I think can transfer into Armada. There's a little bit of stuff that could be seen in X-Wing, but there's also, I think, a pretty good amount of stuff that could be seen in Legion, theoretically, because there's so much ground stuff, there's so much, you know, it's primarily a movie about individuals and people and stuff on the ground, and so there's a lot of that going on, so I think naturally there's a lot of that could transfer over into those type of games. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing, you know, more stuff like that show up. They're doing this whole solo thing in you know, in Battlefront 2 also, which, whatever, Battlefront 2, I'm so tired of Battlefront 2. But overall, I mean, good movie. I don't think I'll see it a second time, though. I mean, maybe, you know, like if the kids want to go see it, is it family friendly? It's pretty family friendly, although it's, you know, there are parts of it that are a little dark. There is some action, but it doesn't seem like there's a little bit of romance, but not necessarily. There's a little bit of like implied sexuality, but not anything like that's like, you know, in your face. So, and that's kind of how Star Wars will kind of do it. There is a little bit of jokes. Let's talk about the humor. I was expecting, maybe this is one thing that was a little different than I expected. I expected it to be a little more with the humor than, just because of the controversy they had. Like, the guys who were originally making it were making, like, you know, made 21 Jump Street, or, you know, I was expecting it was going to be full-blown comedy, and then they dialed it back a little bit with Ron Howard, so it was going to be like 50% comedy. And I feel like this movie was probably only 20% comedy. It was actually way more serious than I thought. And I'll say this, the comedy in this movie felt natural. It felt about right, because Harrison Ford's portrayal of Han Solo has an element of comedy to it, but it's a very natural, it's a very good level of comedy. It's like, it's because he's not playing a comedy role, he just naturally does things that feel funny. And there was a lot more of that. There was more of it than you'd see in the original trilogy, but not so much that, like, not Poe Dameron, you know, General Hughes levels of comedy. These were like more natural. They felt a little bit more appropriate levels of comedy. So I think actually the comic factor was pretty good. I'll give it, that's probably the best part about this movie, is that I think they did the comedy right. It was just enough, wasn't too much. You know, so that much is good. I think the scenery, I think it was very pretty. I really liked Corellia. I think Corellia was probably the best part. There was so much going on. There's a lot of ships and things in the background, and so if I were to see it again, like, I might just wait for it for Blu-ray so you can do pause and freeze frame and stuff. I'm definitely getting the book for it so I can look up, you know, what's now canon and what's now not, because there's so much going, you know, there were certain scenes where it was very busy, you know, like your busy spaceport kind of scene, where there's probably a lot of things that I didn't pick up on. So I'll definitely want to check those things out and see what I didn't pick up on. Were there any really crazy moments? Were there any really surprising? There were some cool moments. I had expected there were going to be a couple of cool moments. There were some cool moments. Not like, oh my gosh, amazing cool, but but like, oh, that's cool. You know, there were a couple of those, and then you know there was one in particular that was pretty interesting. But again, we'll have to talk. We'll save a lot of this stuff for the spoilery review, where I will talk about some of the things I didn't like, you know, in more detail, and some of the things that I did like in more detail. So overall, I kind of give it a yeah, it's okay. I'll give it like a 6 out of 10. You know, yeah, you know, better than the complete mediocre. But really, I kind of wanted it. I really wanted it to surprise me. Like, I wanted it to be like, whoa, I wasn't expecting. I wanted it to do to me what Guardians of the Galaxy did to me. In that I went in there expecting a bad movie and walked out being like, oh my gosh. And this one, I went in there expecting a bad movie and walked out of there got a fairly decent movie. It was all right. You know, it was a movie. You know, and it wasn't enough to raise me up from where I kind of, you know, was expecting it. So that being said, that's what I thought of Solo, A Star Wars Story. I have more videos coming up, so I'll be talking about spoilers in another video, so make sure you check that out. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please, if you're going to talk about spoilers, use spoiler tags, because we don't want to ruin it for anybody else, or just save those for the next video. Or you can hop in my Discord, and we'll jump into film and animation stuff, and you know, we can talk. Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to make a separate channel in there for spoilers. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.